I saw Jones. We don't know if he was serious. Is he not retired anymore? Is he back?
You jump back in the pool, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Officially?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because they're not going to want to miss something like this. How sick is that for you that now you kind of got this White House event for them, and it's like, I feel like this is what brings...
No matter who popped up or who didn't or whatever, we would have put on an incredible card. But the fact that literally everybody wants to fight on this card, makes it a lot more fun.
What would be the dream main event?
The dream main event right now would be Aspinall versus Jones.
At the White House.
On any main event.
Possible that McGregor and Jones would fight on the same card?
Could be.
John versus Tom would be the biggest fight ever at the White House, and even Dana has talked about it, that would be the wish list. Is that something that you even think about or use as like that could be a goal, or because of the past year you won't allow yourself to even get too worked up over that?
Do you want me to be honest? It has spent 0 seconds in my mind. That's it. I'm not interested, mate. Not interested, and the world shouldn't be interested either, because what's the point? It's false hope. It'd be a cool experience, but I'm not like... I feel like the Americans should get the shot in the White House. I don't do anything there.
John Jones versus Tom Aspinall is a fight that had the whole MMA world waiting, and no one felt that weight more than Tom himself as the matchup kept getting delayed. Now the conversation has started again, this time around a possible White House card. Jones is already back in training, which only adds fuel to it. Once again, everyone is watching closely. Will this finally be the moment it happens? Let's see which matchups are actually being discussed.
John Jones versus Pieta, that might be a possibility. Do you have any idea? Because this is 250. This has got to be the grandest. And you've done some big events, Dana. This has got to be your biggest, your baddest, your brightest, because the entire world will be watching this.
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel about every Saturday when we go. It's got to be the biggest and the best. But yes, we need to deliver at the White House for sure. So yesterday, my head of production, Craig Borsari, he's been to the White House 10 times now, working with their ops team and my ops team on how to put this thing together. So they did this whole video rendering. Like it literally shows how the sun will move across the octagon,
right
early on, what it'll look like when it's dark, like the actual trees and everything. And guys, this is going to be so badass. The setup that we have on this thing, it's incredible. So much like the Sphere, when we did the Sphere,
that was nice.
Michael Bisping focused on the idea that if the president's family is openly talking about John Jones being involved, then Jones is clearly seen as the face of something historic. This is not about casual interest. It shows that Jones is viewed as a safe global name who brings attention beyond MMA fans, which matters when the whole world is watching.
All right, so Trump wants Jones at the White House. That was the thumbnail. That is the headline. That is what's happening.
It would be a blockbuster event. I think the whole world would come out.
We're talking about Eric Trump, by the way, not the big man himself, not big Donald J. Trump. No, but he probably does.
I mean, John Jones has to fight.
You think he'll be on it?
I mean, I think you're going to see. I feel like he has one left in him.
As we know, the White House card is going down next year, okay, and it's going to be a phenomenal event. And as Eric Trump says in this video via the Full Send podcast, it's probably going to be one of the most watched sporting spectacles of all time.
I think this could be one of the most tuned into sporting events ever. Like, I'd love to see it push Super Bowl numbers, right?
John Jones wants on, Trump wants Jones on it. Who will he be on? We don't know.
Bisping also leaned into the pressure that comes with that level of spotlight. He broke down why dependability suddenly matters more than legacy. In a normal arena, late pullouts are bad. At the White House, they are unacceptable. But Bisping made it clear that Jones is the name that keeps coming up first, not because of current rankings, but because of what he represents historically. At the same time, he pointed out the tension. Jones wants the spotlight, but the UFC wants guarantees.
Dana said that, listen, he's let him down before, and they only want people that are absolutely dependable.
I thought about him. I can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have something go wrong.
Which I get. You can't have people jumping on and jumping off a card like the White House. You can't have the President of the United States and the whole world watching and waiting for one of the most sensational fight cards of all time, which is what Dana's promised, by the way, and I'm sure it will be.
It's the Sphere on steroids. I mean, it's going to be a one-of-one event. There'll be nothing like it ever again.
Everyone's minds and imaginations are running wild. You've seen people all over the place putting out their dream White House card. And of course, for the most part, I guess Jon Jones kind of does have to be on it. Because, look, listen, he's one of, or if not, the greatest of all time. That conversation is done to death. Did he duck Tom Aspinall? That conversation is kind of done to death as well. However, he wants to come back and he wants to fight at the White House.
Evans, Dana, bro, please, I'm training. I feel great. I'm healthy. And I would be so honored to represent.
Dana White made it clear that the White House card is being treated differently from any normal UFC event. His focus was not on locking one fight early, but on making sure the event itself delivers on a global level. He talked a lot about scale, access, and why this card matters beyond hardcore fans. That tells you the UFC is thinking bigger than just rankings or belts here. The fight has to fit the moment.
So hold on. Hold on. The winner of Gaethje Pimblett fights Topuria. Is that going to be the White House fight that you're going to make? Or is that what's going to happen? Is that what you're doing?
So, everything we're focused on right now is for the launch this weekend. Doing boxing for the first time, first fight on there. Monday, every ounce of our focus will be, I'm in the war room right now. I got the entire Sydney card done. February 7th is done, 21st, 28th. March, all these cards are done. They're all lined up. Our entire focus will be the White House fight on Monday.
Wow. So do you have it? I mean, looks like whoever wins out of Gaethje Pimblett fights Topuria. That's look like a White House card. Do you have anything else in mind?
When it comes to Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall, Dana did not rush into naming a main event or confirming anything concrete. Instead, he stressed reliability and delivery. For an event like this, the UFC cannot afford delays or uncertainty, and Jones is now known for his uncertain behavior. That indirectly puts pressure on fighters who have a history of pushing timelines. It explains why nothing feels locked in yet, even if the interest is clearly there.
Jon Jones versus Piera, that might be a possibility. Do you have any idea? Because this is 250. This has got to be the grandest. And you've done some big events, Dana. This has got to be your biggest, your baddest, your brightest, because the entire world will be watching this.
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel about every Saturday when we go. It's got to be the biggest and the best. But yes, we need to deliver at the White House for sure. So yesterday, my head of production, Craig Borsari, he's been to the White House 10 times now, working with their ops team and my ops team on how to put this thing together. So they did this whole video rendering. Like it literally shows how the sun will move across the octagon, early on, what it'll look like when it's dark, like the actual trees and everything. And guys, this is going to be so badass. The setup that we have on this thing, it's incredible. So much like the Sphere, when we did the Sphere, these
that was
events,
nice.
For MMA Guru, the focus was on what actually fits a White House card, something that works for an American setting but also makes sense for a worldwide audience watching in. That is where Ilya, or the winner of Pimblett vs. Gaethje, entered the conversation. It felt less about merit and more about who the UFC can trust to carry that slot without overcomplicating things, maybe with the exception of one or two like Makhachev. I mentioned Conor McGregor, but his discussion did not revolve around belts, rankings, or recent performances. It came down to reach. He still pulls in casual fans better than anyone else on the roster. Even with all the baggage around him, the UFC looks at numbers first. That is why he kept showing up in these predictions. Not as a champion, but as someone you place on the card, because attention matters in events like Argument brought everything together. For a stage like this, the main event needs to feel important the second it is announced. Bigger fighters create that feeling instantly. That is why Jones was brought back into the mix. Not because it is the safest option, but because moments like this usually favor presence and impact over clean narratives. Sonny framed the White House card as something bigger than a normal UFC event. What stood out was how often people were already asking him about it, even outside MMA spaces. To him, that said everything. This card has crossed into mainstream curiosity, much like UFC 300 did before it happened.
I was just at Madison Square Garden twice this past weekend. Big wins over the Blazers and Lakers on Sunday was tremendous. And I swear the number one question that I got at least 10 times, I swear, was, who's headlining the White House? Who's fighting at the White House? This is on everyone's mind. And I have said myself, like, I can't wait for June 15th, the day after this card, so when we can like kind of move on from this, because it's going to be our UFC 300, but it's what's on everyone's mind. And I think we're finally at a point where we could kind of look at things and say, okay, this makes the most sense. This is going to happen X, Y, and Z. Ben, I'll start with you. Don't go too long here with me. Just give me a main event. Just give me a main event right now.
Although Jones versus Aspinall was the perfect match in Ben Foucault's mind, what he was getting at was that there was a lack of certainty at the moment. Dana White killing off names rather than confirming them was peak entertainment. Foucault's logic started with the basics. In order to generate widespread interest, you start with something that people understand immediately. A heavyweight championship bout does exactly that. You don't need to add any context, backstory, or explanation. A heavyweight championship speaks for itself. He also looked at logistics, money, and timing instead of emotion. His read was that McGregor might be pushed to a different event where gate and pay-per-view matter more. That opens the door for Jones and Pereira, two fighters who have both publicly shown interest. From his angle, this solves multiple problems at once: big names, heavyweight feel, and a safer setup for the UFC's image and planning. But a more realistic stance came from Shaheen Al-Shadi. The conversation changed from what should be happening to something that can be done. He treated Jones versus Aspinall as something that belonged to the past, not the current situation. From there, the attention moved to the star power that actually exists right now. Chael Sonnen looked at the White House card differently than most people. He did not jump straight into naming fights or building dream matchups. Instead, he questioned what this card is actually meant to be. The idea that certain fighters must be on the card did not sit right with him. He made it clear that nothing is set in stone yet. No one has a guaranteed spot, and a lot of that talk is coming from fans, not the UFC. From his perspective, the promotion itself has not fully committed to anyone so far. Shano also spent a noticeable amount of time talking about Michael Chandler, and it felt deliberate. He did not treat Chandler's situation as a loss or a step back. Instead, he framed it as staying in the picture. Chandler staying active and in the conversation keeps him lined up for something big. In that way, the White House card felt more like an opening than a fallback option. Once Jon Jones came up, the conversation shifted. It stopped being about ideas and started feeling more real. Chael treated Jones as the key piece that changes everything. Not because of national pride or history, but because Jones still matters right now. If Jones is healthy and willing to fight, the entire shape of the card can change around him. When you step back and look at it, the White House card still feels very open. A lot of names are being discussed, but nothing feels close to final yet. That seems to be by design. This is not a normal UFC event, and the company knows one wrong move changes how this whole thing is viewed. Fighters are circling, analysts are guessing, and fans are waiting for one clear signal. Until that happens, everything stays in discussion mode. The moment one fight gets locked in, the rest of the card will start to take shape fast. Until then, it is all about patience. Let us know who you think ends up headlining this card.